Now this one, when she swallowed this mini screwdriver, was probably the most uncomfortable scene in this movie. What's good, guys? It's Alissa. If you're new here, hello. So I have started a new series on my channel called Discomfort Movies. So of course, everybody has their comfort movies, which are movies that make you feel all warm and fuzzy and cozy inside. And then there are those movies that are literally made to make you squirm in your seat. Those to me are discomfort movies. So today's discomfort movie that we're going to be talking about is Swallow. And at the end, I will rate my level of discomfort from 1 through 10. And of course, spoiler warning, I will be getting into every single detail of this movie. So if you plan on watching this movie and you don't want to know how this movie starts and ends, please do not continue to watch. But anyway, let's get into it. So the movie starts with the introduction of our main character, whose name is Hunter, who I was seriously convinced was Jennifer Lawrence based off of the poster, but this is not Jennifer Lawrence. This is an actress named Haley Bennett. At the beginning of the movie, we see that she is very well off. She married very well. Her husband's name is Richie. At the beginning of the movie, we're shown a herd of lambs running away from someone, and rightfully so, because one of those lambs got snatched up and chopped up for dinner. And I was like, they low-key hooking it up. They was searing that lamb, but then they showed that plate and that lamb died for nothing. Hunter and Richie are at dinner, where Richie's dad announces that they're going to be making him the youngest managing director in their company's history. In Richie's speech, he thanks Hunter and his parents for buying them a house. We see back home that Hunter has some form of OCD where things have to be absolutely perfect. When she places this disc on the counter at the start of the movie, she turns it back to rearrange it, making sure that it is perfectly how she wants it to be. She even took the time to make sure that a plate that she made for dinner for her and Richie was perfectly presented. She even spends her time playing this Candy Crush-like game, and we begin to see the cracks in Hunter and Richie's marriage at dinner. Hunter seems to constantly need validation from Richie, and Richie is just simply not emotionally or romantically involved in this marriage. Most of his dinner was spent on his phone, leaving Hunter to have to talk and entertain herself. And you want to know what happens after this very awkward dinner scene? They're pregnant! Hunter does not take this news well that they are pregnant and expecting a baby, but Richie actually has an opposite reaction. He's very excited and he's on the phone telling his parents that they're expecting and they're going to be having a baby, but Hunter physically gagged while Richie was announcing this to his parents over the phone. And it seems that most of the excitement is coming from Richard's side of the family. Richard, his name is Richard, and Richie, if I say Richard on accident, I apologize. They're mostly concerned about who the next CEO of their family's company is gonna be. I gotta catch up on Succession. Anyway, they're swapping baby stories, and Richie brings up a story from Hunter's childhood that he couldn't even fully remember. Hunter has an extremely adverse reaction to him bringing this up, because I can only assume that this is not actually a crazy childhood story, and it's actually something traumatic. So he says something about a man on the side of the road, and I was like, what is this story? And Hunter doesn't seem to want to tell this story anyway. So when she starts, she explains that it was a local nutcase and that he would stand on the side of the road blowing kisses to people. But before she could even finish, Richie's dad cuts her off. Rude. But I'm sure she didn't want to tell that story anyway, so definitely tapped into some trauma there, and I'm glad she didn't have to tell it. She zones out of whatever conversation Richie's dad started up with him, and she's fascinated by this ice in her glass at dinner. So she digs into the cup with her hand and starts crunching on the ice real loud mid-conversation, and obviously they're like, what the hell? But this seems to be something that Hunter is actually fascinated with, that we see at the beginning of the movie. Hunter had picked up a marble at the start of the movie and began to analyze it. She seems to have a fascination with small choking hazard objects. Back home, Richie's mom stops by to give Hunter a self-help book. She claims that it helped her with postpartum, and this is actually a very nice moment between mother-in-law and wife, but it is quickly ruined when Richie's mom says that Hunter would look a lot prettier with long hair. Now, Hunter does have a very questionable bob with a bang, but I digress. She says that Richie likes his girls with long, pretty hair. And I said, excuse me? And that's what she should have said to his mom, honestly. So this obviously rubs Hunter the wrong way. So when the mom leaves, she takes it upon herself to start reading the self-help book. When she opens it up, she finds a quote that says, "Every day, try to do something unexpected. Push yourself to try new things." She obviously interpreted this in the worst way possible, because any regular person would be like, maybe I should finish that book that I've been putting off. Maybe I should actually commit to the 75 hard. That was personal. But no, that was not Hunter. Remember that fascination with tiny objects that I told you guys about like 2 minutes ago? Better yet, do you remember the name of this movie? Right. She finds that marble from the beginning of the movie, and guess what she does? She swallows it. Yeah. This starts Hunter's obsession with swallowing things that she has absolutely no business swallowing. She's literally a puppy. You know, when you find your puppy chewing on something, you chase it down and you're like, don't put that in your mouth, and they run away from you? That's Hunter. So after she swallows this marble, she is completely giddy, kicking her feet, rubbing her ankles together, just waiting on her next opportunity to swallow something else. But for some reason when this happened, I forgot. And then I remembered. Oh yeah, she's pregnant. And I guess enough time has passed by where Hunter is actually showing now. So Richie notices that her mood is like super high. So he's like, what are you happy about? So she just lies and says that she's happy that she chose the sky blue drapes in the theater in their house, and Richie pretends to be interested. So the next day when she uses the bathroom, when she's done, she grabs some gloves. And I'm like, wait, when you're done using the bathroom, don't you usually wash your hands? Then I realized, oh my God, she pooped out the marble. So she swallowed the marble, pooped it out, rinsed it off like it was some produce, then placed it on the dresser as a keepsake. And it didn't stop there. While Hunter was vacuuming, the vacuum vacuumed up something that should not have went up there, a thumbtack. And by the music and the close-up shot that they decided on, I knew exactly what was about to happen next. Nobody is ever home, which makes this like the perfect opportunity for her to do this, the unexpected from the self-help book. She swallows the thumbtack, and it went down as easy as you would expect a thumbtack to go down. It didn't. So she spit it out because it cut her tongue, but she is determined. The thumbtack is haunting her, sitting on the countertop across from her. So she tries it again. She just goes for it. And as excruciating as it was, she swallowed it. And this brings her the exact same joy as when she swallowed that marble. Y'all, oh my God. This is actually my second time watching this movie. I watched it over the summer with my sisters for the first time. And yeah, no, this scene actually doesn't get any easier watching for the second time. So I love you guys. And I watched it to get this video out so I can script it. So I need a Nobel Peace Prize. So anyway, later on, they're at a party and Hunter starts to get these pains in her stomach. I wonder why. So we cut to the bathroom to find blood on the toilet seat. And I'm like, if there's blood on the toilet seat, I know her insides are completely torn up. So Richie actually almost catches her cleaning up her bloody mess when he comes knocking on the door. But after noticing that she's trembling, I guess he stopped giving a fuck because she said she was okay. So he just went back to the party. And just like the marble, Hunter keeps the thumbtack that she pooped out as a keepsake too. She is literally on a roll. I'm assuming the thumbtack was validation that it's time to level up the swallow size. So her next attempt is a AA battery. A battery. And if I'm being honest, if you notice, this swallowing obsession started when she found out that she was pregnant. I think that she's involuntarily trying to get rid of her baby without making it so blatant that she's trying to get rid of her baby. Anyway, back to the battery. She swallows it. Then she goes on about her day like nothing happened, keeping the house clean and showing Richie the nursery that she completed. Normal people read self-help books. Hunter eats the pages. And as she's in bed, the camera slowly pans to the dresser, revealing that time has passed and Hunter has swallowed an insane amount of items. The craziest one to me, I'm gonna be honest, was that figurine, because girl, how did you poop that out? How? And this scene isn't meant to be funny, but like, oh my God, I laughed because it's so ridiculous. So let me explain it to you. Hunter and Richie go to an ultrasound. You already know where this is going. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is not going to end well. The nurse lady was like, it looks like something else is in here. And I'm like, oh God, they found the battery. But the nurse actually thinks it's a glitch until Hunter reacts as if she's in pain. We then cut to Hunter being put under to remove this foreign object. And what do they find? A safety pin. Not the battery, a safety pin. And you know what else? They found a whole bunch of other shit that she was not supposed to put down her esophagus. Like a razor blade, girl. A razor blade. Yeah, my stomach, I'm gonna be sick. Obviously, like, duh, she's caught now. Like, there's literally no hiding the fact that you swallowed a jack, a clothespin, a thumbtack, a battery, a safety pin. Like, the list goes on, unfortunately. So when they get home, Richie is just going in on her. And the doctors diagnose her with something called Pica. Pica? I think they said Pica. Kids swallow stuff all the time, but as I read, kids don't necessarily have Pica because Pica is actually an eating disorder where you have cravings for chewing substances that have no nutritional value, like ice, clay, soil, or paper. And as we've seen, the first instance of her giving into this temptation was actually not the marble. It was at the restaurant when she was chewing that ice. So in this argument, Richie says, this is something that you tell somebody before you get married. And it's like, obviously she didn't know that she didn't do this before you guys got married. This is a new thing. So he throws away all the small objects in the house, including her little dresser collection of items that she pooped out. He should wash his hands. So after discovering this, Richie's parents immediately seek help for her, getting her into some therapy, and her dad is actually pushing for her to just take medication, and Hunter honestly is too. And I'm like, girl, you just want something else to swallow. Like, you ain't slick. And the therapist gladly, professionally, votes against it. And she's like, how about we should just try talking first? Let's start with your childhood. That's what I feel like right now. I feel like a therapist on this couch. Hunter thinks, of course, that this is a waste of time and that she had the perfect childhood, but of course, this is a lie. So in later sessions, her therapist gets her to reveal the truth. Hunter reveals that her father actually isn't her real father and that she is actually a product of SA. Her real father's name is William Irwin, and he did time for it. So sometime in the 90s, William had bought her mom a drink, and when her mom left, he followed her home and broke in. And so her therapist is concerned because Hunter keeps a picture of him in her purse. She actually pulled out a picture of her real dad out of her purse and showed her therapist, and her therapist was like, you just keep that in your purse, girl? So her therapist, of course, asked if her mom considered terminating the pregnancy. So Hunter reveals that her mom is actually very religious and right-wing, so she grew up not believing in abortion, even in cases of incest or SA. And I think that this explains Hunter's conflict with this baby growing inside of her, because she feels as though she doesn't have any agency over her body. Richie wants this baby. She does not. But she also grew up believing that abortion is wrong, but everything in her does not want this baby. And like I said, Hunter needs validation from Richie. So she tells her therapist that she just wants to get better to make Richie happy. So in turn, I also believe that she's keeping this baby to make Richie happy because that's what Richie and also his family wants. So Richie's family is not letting Hunter out of their sight, so they hire a live-in nurse whose name is Louie to keep an eye on her and make sure that she is not swallowing. But the surveillance actually makes Hunter feel trapped. Louie follows her to the bathroom where she has to get a pat down before she goes in. But in this time, we discover that she actually keeps a secret stash of nuts and bolts under the toilet seat that she goes into the bathroom and swallows. I mean, but 𝙈𝙪 actually does a pretty good job at keeping an eye on her, even to the point of him and Hunter actually developing a very friendly relationship. So they actually become very close throughout the movie. So as time passes by, she begins to open up more to her therapist. But this bond quickly turns sour when she finds out that Richie made a deal with her therapist to tell him everything, because in her first therapy session, Richie actually wanted to stay in the room, but the therapist was like, you literally cannot do that. You have to go. So Richie made a deal with the therapist that she has to tell him everything that happens after each session. But this is contradicting, because the therapist also promised Hunter that she wasn't going to make a big deal out of Hunter expressing the essay situation that happened to her mother in the therapy session. But Hunter actually overhears a conversation between Richie and her therapist, and this makes Hunter start to spiral. So she starts to lose control. She hides under the bed, just wanting to be alone, but 𝙈𝙪 ends up finding her and tries to get her out of there, but she will not budge. So he decides to just go under there with her to comfort her, and he reassures her that she is safe. They end up falling to sleep together under the bed, and she wakes up before him. So she takes this as the perfect opportunity to swallow again, because 𝙈𝙪's guard is down. Her choice of object this time is a mini screwdriver, because of course they have removed all the tiny little swallowable objects in the house. That was hard to say. Now this one, when she swallowed this mini screwdriver, was probably the most uncomfortable scene in this movie. 𝙈𝙪 ends up waking up to find Hunter convulsing on the kitchen floor, literally on the verge of death. So he calls to get her immediate help. So at this time, she actually has to have the mini screwdriver surgically removed, and this was pretty much everyone's last straw. So they hold an intervention for her at the house and try to get Hunter to stay in a mental hospital for 7 months until the baby is born. His mom and Richie are trying to ease this onto her real light, but his dad is like, look, you either gonna go or Richie wants a divorce. So of course, Hunter wants to do everything to keep Richie happy. So this actually gets her to sign the paper. So they pack up and leave, and when they're outside, Hunter says she forgot her phone or charger or something. And her mom is like, girl, you are not about to need that phone, trust me. And she's like, no, like I need my phone. It has my games on it. And they probably felt bad, so they were like, okay, fine, you can have your phone. So of course 𝙈𝙪 has to go everywhere with her. So 𝙈𝙪 follows her into the house, but she of course is not going in there to get her phone. She lays in the bed, pretty much saying goodbye to her life one last time. So she stares out into the window and then at 𝙈𝙪, and without saying anything, they kind of mutually agree to allow Hunter to run away. So Hunter actually does escape into the woods behind the house, just running and running and running. 𝙈𝙪 goes outside to meet his family, but they become suspicious because he's like, yeah, she's in the bathroom, don't worry, I already checked it out. But 𝙈𝙪 actually made it seem like she was in the bathroom, but she never went to the bathroom. He just turned the water on, locked the door, and opened the window to make it seem like she ran out of the bathroom window. Now that she's free to do whatever she wants, she can freely eat dirt like she has been tempted to do for some time now that I forgot to mention. So she scoops up some dirt from outside the motel that she finds and eats it while she's watching a movie like she's eating some popcorn. While she's in her motel, she decides to call Richie and explain that she feels like she rushed into things to just make him happy, like having a baby and picking their house. But now Richie's true colors are showing on the phone, because she says that she's not coming back and she is not revealing her location after him constantly asking her over and over and over. And so Richie actually ends up telling her that she won't amount to anything, that she's not good at anything, and her life with him is the best that it's ever gonna get. What does she do? She hangs up on him, period. He also said if she doesn't come back, he will hunt her down, and he even calls her an ungrateful C-word. Can't say that on YouTube. She doesn't care. Like I said, she hung up in his face in the middle of him screaming and hollering.
First of all, I don't understand why you screaming and hollering. That's why Bitch, you look a mess.
But you know, Hunter actually does begin to struggle. She doesn't have any money. She doesn't have a place to stay after she checks out of her motel, so she decides to call her mom. But when she calls her mom, she passively says that she can't stay with her because her sister is already there with her baby and they just don't have the space. So Hunter hung up on her ass too. Desperate times calls for desperate measures, so Hunter shows up to her real dad, William Irwin's house. He is ironically celebrating his birthday. Whoa, okay. Ironically, he's celebrating his birthday, so she literally crashes the party. And we find out that her dad has a new family. He has a wife and a young daughter. And I was a little confused as to how his wife didn't know that her husband is a registered sex offender, but hey, I guess everybody don't do background checks on people before they date them. Anyway, Hunter is watching him cut his birthday cake with his daughter, and she tells him, hey, you have your daughter's eyes. And he's like, no the hell I don't. She has my wife's eyes. My eyes are hazel. And Hunter says, mine are too. So he's like, who are you again? Wait, who invited you to this party? So they go into the kitchen and William is curious as to who invited her to the party. She doesn't directly answer. She just says, my mom is Jill McCoy. And this literally makes him freeze because his wife is also in the kitchen. So he tries to explain his way out of this, telling his wife that Jill is an old friend because she's like, I ain't never heard of Jill. Who the hell is Jill? His wife ends up excusing herself out of the kitchen, and William starts to interrogate Hunter and her intentions on showing up to his birthday party. He obviously thinks that she's trying to ruin his life, which she should, but she just wants answers. She literally just came there for answers. His explanation was honestly very disgusting, and like I really didn't care to know why, how. I didn't care. But anyway, I guess I do have to explain. He says that it made him feel like a god until he was beaten up so bad, period, in jail that he had to wear a shit bag. So Hunter just wants to know if she's like him, but he's like, I literally have no idea. I don't know that. But she's like, I want to hear you say that. So he validates her and says that she is not like him. She is her own person. So she kind of has a breakdown after this, and I guess that's exactly what she needed to hear to get closure on this part of her life before she moved on to the next part of her life. So she decides to have a fresh start and terminate her pregnancy. So the next time we see Hunter, she is at Planned Parenthood, and with no place to stay, she has no choice but to take her abortion pills at the mall. And I can only assume that this is the absolute worst place to take what I hear often is the worst pain that people have ever felt in their life. And the movie ends with Hunter staring at herself in the bathroom mirror, then walking out to start her new life. This movie actually had a pretty good deeper meaning to it, honestly, and it wasn't shock value for the sake of shock value. Like, they actually got to the bottom of why she has these eating disorders and need to self-harm. She wants validation from other people. She has never really lived life for herself, but she goes to the extremes in order to gain that sense of control on her own life. And I think that is a good way to show the lengths that people will actually go to get a sense of control on their lives, when really it's so simple. You can just do exactly what your body and what your mind is telling you to do and not betray yourself. I always say that there's always a point in life where you feel like you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and it's literally just like this pull and tug on what you should do and what you know you want to do in life. And I had to practice listening to that, because the only way that I can interpret not listening to that is literally betraying myself. And the older I'm getting, I want to betray myself less. Of course, at the end of the video, I always give my rating on my discomfort levels, and this one was definitely a 10. Have I ever given one an 11? This was so uncomfortable to watch when she was swallowing those things that she was not supposed to swallow, especially with the added on fact that there was a baby in her stomach. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you would like to watch this movie, please proceed with caution. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok mostly right now, Twitter. All that information is in my description box down below. And if you made it to the end of this video, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and make sure you hit the notification bell to stay up to date with posts and uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys in my next upload or my next discomfort video. Did I say I hope you guys have a great week? Oh my gosh, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Peace.